Greetings. Elder Blacklight here. Now in the D, police chief Craig has a case of the coronavirus, and I think about 100 or something. I'm not gonna quote it, but in the police department they got a bunch of cases in there. Now Wayne County done blew up fast, you know, and we got a half and half. In other words, 50% black and white cops, which been keeping, things on operating smooth, So I see a whole lot of martial law getting ready to take place, and Detroit is kind of different from everybody else. You got 80% black people, residents, a lot of Nation of Islam up in here, a lot of, I think Shrine of the Black Madonna is still here, and a lot of black RBG community and Pan-Africanists. Oh man. So I think they're moving their men in position, but what this video is going to be about is about this doctor. I'm going to let him do the talking because I don't know the guy, but I agree with what he's saying. I know it's a conspiracy. I mean, I know it ain't a conspiracy. It's really, yeah, it's a conspiracy, but it's a real one. This virus was manufactured in a laboratory. His name is Dr. Rashid Butter, something like that. See his name? No, his name ain't up there. Well, let's get to it.
It's been a long day, but I wanted to make sure I get this information out to you as promised. So it's about 6 o'clock, actually 6:30 in the morning, and wanting to make sure that this information goes out. It's just a tremendous amount of information to go through, so I think you'll understand what I'm talking about when you watch the video. Now, in the interest of time, I want to just cover a couple of comments that have been made previously by some people that have watched the video. And the predominant comment has been to compare the information that I presented and say that the comparison between cancer, for example, and COVID-19 or coronavirus is not accurate because you can't die from cancer. That was actually a comment that was made, but of course we know that's not true. But I think what they were trying to say, and what the majority of the other comments were, was that cancer won't kill you within a few days, whereas coronavirus will. Well, that's not really accurate, and most of the people that are getting infected are recovering. So this particular video is about the scientific corruption that you as the public must realize, and I'm going to present the information to you and let you decide whether it constitutes corruption or not. Scientific corruption aspect. We're going to start off with a little bit of history about the coronavirus. This article actually gives a short brief history of the human coronavirus, which first was described in 1965 by a few researchers named Tyrrell and Baino. It was found in the human embryonic tracheal organ cultures obtained from the respiratory tracts of an adult with a common cold, and it has been attributed to the source of a common cold for a number of decades. Now, in the late 1960s, Tyrrell was leading a group of virologists looking at a specific strain and was working with human strains and a number of animal viruses. Now, these included infectious bronchitis virus as well as mouse hepatitis virus and transmittable gastroenteritis virus from the porcine source, from swine, from pigs, all of which had been demonstrated to be morphologically the same as seen through electron microscopy as each other. So what this is basically saying is, from the morphological characteristics when looking through an electron microscope, the swine flu version or the swine virus version of this coronavirus, as well as the mouse hepatitis version, which affects the liver, as well as the infectious bronchitis virus that was found in humans, were all morphologically the same. This new group of viruses was then named coronavirus, corona denoting the crown-like appearance of the surface projections, and was later officially accepted as a new genus of viruses. So this goes back to the 1960s. In the 3 decades after discovery, human strains OC43 and 229E were studied exclusively, largely because they were the easiest ones to work with. It was easy to work with those, so that's what they predominantly worked with. Now, there were other ones, obviously, but those are the ones that they worked with. Now, what they found was, from an epidemiologic and from a volunteer inoculation study, they found that the respiratory coronaviruses were associated with a variety of respiratory illnesses. However, their pathogenicity, i.e. their disease-causing ability, was considered to be low. So, not a big deal. Okay? That's basically what it comes down to. Now, while the research was proceeding to explore the pathogenicity, the ability for this to cause disease, and the epidemiology, the incidence of how virulent this virus was, of this coronavirus, the number and importance of animal coronaviruses were growing rapidly. So they were starting to see this in other species. Chances are they were always there, we just were discovering them. Coronaviruses were described that cause diseases in multiple animals, including rats, mice, chickens, turkeys, calves, dogs, cats, rabbits, and pigs. Animal studies included, but were not limited to, research that focused on respiratory disorders. The study focus included disorders of the gastroenteritis, hepatitis, and encephalitis in mice. Now that's the gut, inflammation of the gut, inflammation of the liver, and inflammation of the brain in mice, as well as pneumonitis and cyanodacrylodinitis in rats, and then infectious peritonitis in cats. So these are all different types of peritonitis. For example, is inflammation of the peritoneum, the lining within the gut. It doesn't make any difference what these different things were. The point is they were studying them in different animals. All right. Then, in the early 2000s, SARS came about. And the emergence of SARS, which is an acronym that stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, was the turning point when we started to look at the coronavirus with a different viewpoint. So during 2002-2003 outbreak, the SARS infection was reported in 29 countries in North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. Overall, over 8,000 people were infected, and the specific strain was called 774 SARS-related, and those were the fatalities. It's still unclear how the virus entered the human population and whether the Himalayan palm civet, which is a type of a cat, were the natural reservoir for the virus. That's what it was attributed to. They later did sequential analysis of the virus, and they isolated from Himalayan palm cats and revealed that this virus contained a 29 nucleotide sequence not found in most human isolates. So basically, there were 29 nucleotide components that were different from humans, that humans didn't have, but these cats had it, and so that's why they attributed it to a spread from these civets. Right? Now, it was the SARS epidemic that actually launched the interest into coronavirus, and there was a lot of effort, time, money put in to understand the coronavirus, and most of the pathogenesis of the coronavirus infections were accumulated from the veterinary virological arena. So most of the veterinarians that were working with viruses actually contributed a lot of the research to our understanding of coronavirus. So that's just a brief history of where coronavirus started. The SARS epidemic was a dramatic reminder that animal coronaviruses are potential threats to the human population, although the exact mechanism of species to species spread still has not been determined. All right, it was felt to be spreading from animals, but they still never established it. So this particular version is called COVID-19. Now, it's been labeled as a bioweapon by some people, and of course the media, says that that's conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. But let's look at the actual configuration of what this virus, what COVID-19 is. All right. So the first thing is I want to say that this wasn't because people were eating bat soup, okay, or transferred from snakes or sloths or whatever they said. The virus is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. This is very important, and I'm going to show you evidence of that. All right. Back over 20 years ago, the Chinese government talked about how their long-range plan for ensuring Chinese national sovereignty, if you will, was going to involve the use of biological weapons. Now, here's what it comes down to. There's no possibility that this virus occurred naturally. This was confirmed on February 8th by a peer-reviewed virology journal, volume 16, publication date April 2020. So this is coming out next month, but I will show you. In fact, here is the study.
So it's going to be another part to this, and you might can find it on YouTube. Check it out for yourself. And but stick around, because I got some comments I want to enter into this topic right here, that we got to build a case for the government to be, the government must be accounted for what's going on, because these scientists and different laboratories are being funded by either private institution or government institutions, and the human population is being experimented on every day. Now, this Chinese lady that really was one of the lead scientists was really working for the U.S., one of the U.S. corporations or U.S. laboratories. So we're gonna get into that in the next segment, the next video. So, but we're gonna get on out of here and quickly upload this. We'll keep you informed. Black light out.